The wind outside howled through the cracks in the old manor's windows, carrying with it whispers of a long-forgotten past. Eleanor Hartley stood at the edge of the attic, brushing aside dust-laden drapes as her eyes scanned the dim room. She hadn't been here since her grandfather's funeral a week ago, but today something had drawn her, an odd mention in his will. "To my dear Eleanor, I leave not just my home, but the attic. You'll find what's been buried too long." Her grandfather, Henry Hartley, had been a war hero, a historian, and later a recluse. After her parents died in a car crash when she was 12, he raised her. But over time, grief aged him faster than time. The attic was filled with antiques, maps, boxes labeled in cursive, 1942, Cambridge letters, Eleanor's paintings. She smiled sadly at the last one. Then she noticed the chest. It was small, black, and iron-bound. The latch wasn't locked. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. Inside was a bundle of letters, yellowed and brittle. The top one was addressed to Elizabeth H. That wasn't a name she recognized. Curiosity overwhelmed her. She unfolded the letter carefully and began to read. "My dearest Elizabeth, they say the war is almost over. But I fear the end of the war may not mean the beginning of peace. Not for me. Not for us. I saw Thomas again today, not as the friend I once knew, but as the officer who now knows our secret. He suspects. I fear he'll say something that could undo everything we've built. But I must tell you this. If ever this letter reaches your hands, and not me, know that I loved you beyond rules, borders, and time. Yours eternally, Henry." Eleanor froze. Elizabeth? Secret? Suspect? She looked through the rest of the letters. Each one was more intimate than the last, filled with plans, fears, love, longing. But one letter was different. Its envelope was unsealed and blank. Inside was a confession. "To whom it may concern, I made choices in the war that betrayed men I considered brothers. But I did it for love. For Elizabeth Hargrove, my commanding officer's wife. When Thomas found out, he threatened to expose us. I begged him to stay silent. The next week, he disappeared during a mission near Normandy. They said it was enemy fire. I always knew it wasn't. I never spoke of it. Until now. If anyone is reading this, then I am likely gone. My soul seeks no forgiveness, but I hope the truth brings peace. Henry." Eleanor sat still for minutes. Her heart pounded not just with the shock of her grandfather's love affair, but the weight of what he'd done. She closed the chest and stared at the dusty beams above. Her entire life, she had known Henry as a kind, intelligent, grieving man, but she never thought he carried this kind of burden. Suddenly, a creak came from the attic door. Eleanor turned sharply. It was her uncle Robert, Henry's son. He looked just as shaken as she did. "I thought I'd find you here," he said softly. His eyes drifted to the open chest. "So, you found it. You knew," Eleanor whispered. He nodded. "Only a little. He told me about Elizabeth on his deathbed. Not about Thomas." They sat in silence. The old wood groaned under the weight of silence and time. Finally, Robert said, "Sometimes I think people like him live twice, once in the world and once in their memories. Maybe he needed us to know so he could let go of both." Eleanor nodded. Then she took one of the letters, the first one, and slid it into her coat pocket. "I want to keep this one," she said. "The rest should stay here." As they walked downstairs, the wind outside calmed, as if the house, too, had finally exhaled a secret held too long.